so good morning, Alex. Thanks
Good morning.
for joining me here today. You got some questions for me, so why don't you start off just by telling everybody a little bit about yourself and what you're wanting to do on Amazon?
So I have always had an interest in internet marketing. My background is mostly in sales. I've been a salesperson for most of my life, but recently I kind of made a shift from doing some corporate work, having a career in that, to just trying to kind of be a business owner, be a entrepreneur. And I started out doing a little bit of consulting for a martial arts gym, especially about their website. And my goal was to have their website actually do work for them, so to generate leads. And then ultimately, that was pretty successful. So he kept me on the payroll, he kept me working, starting to do some advertising, and I got to learn about Facebook ads and some really cool stuff. Which led me to another client that was a member of the gym that was interested in having me do some work for their website as well. So I kind of took that on, and now this website is more of an e-commerce website, and what they sell is skincare products and cosmetics. So what I wanted to do is I noticed that there were some folks on Amazon that were reselling some of our products, some of our items, and wanted to learn more about how to use Amazon effectively and kind of chase some of those resellers out of there, hopefully, and
Okay.
and do that.
All right, excellent. So, yeah, basically what they're doing probably is some kind of online or retail arbitrage, because I'm assuming you said you're selling your product on your own website
hmm
and then you're selling it in stores as well, correct?
There's just a couple retail stores that still have it, so we're almost completely out of that business, and the owner hopes to just sell direct to the consumer at some point. But there's just a couple relationships that are still out there.
All right, so you're bringing it all into the e-commerce website then, but the product's been out there, and the price on Amazon is probably quite a bit higher than what you guys are selling it directly.
It is. It is. In fact, an order just came through with like 20 or 30 quantity of a certain product that we carry, and I'm going, yeah, that's probably somebody going to resell that, and that's probably a good indicator that our price is too low on that given product. And I do happen to know that they're selling it for about 40% more on Amazon.
So definitely they're doing retail arbitrage. They're just buying from you and then selling it for a higher price on Amazon. I do a lot of that as well. A lot of times it's clearance stuff from different stores. I don't do a lot of the online arbitrage, but there's a lot of people who do, which basically just means buying a product at a lower price and selling it for more on Amazon. And if it's a product that people want and it's not on Amazon, you can pretty much get away with selling very things at a very high price that you wouldn't think people would pay the price. But if that's the specific item that they want, they're going to pay a much higher price on Amazon than they otherwise might. So you guys are looking to get on and sell on Amazon so that you can be making that profit instead of the people who are currently selling on there.
Yeah, I thought that, being in a marketplace that just gets just such a enormous amount of traffic, and having our product there, and building all of the reviews, and having kind of maintaining a good that good social proof would help us. There'd be some synergy maybe with that to our current website, but also just Amazon is a good place to be. I think it's the future. So
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of people who have their own e-commerce store kind of get afraid of Amazon. Like they don't want to list their products on there because they're competing with themselves. But really, Amazon has created a marketplace where there's millions of people who are only going to shop on Amazon. they're not going to come to your e-commerce store and buy your products. So if you're not on Amazon, you're really just losing out on those people. And plus, as you can see, there's the opportunity for some products to sell at a higher price on Amazon than you would be able to on your own e-commerce store. So it really helps to build your brand and stuff like that to be on Amazon. And since you're the manufacturer and the maker of the products, you can obviously go on and undercut price that people are currently selling. There's no way that they compete with you, so you could easily push them off the product. But that's one thing to keep in mind with Amazon, is that it's an open marketplace. So even if you were the one who created the listing entirely, Amazon owns that listing, and anyone can come on and sell on that listing. There's certain rules. The product has to be the exact product that's being advertised on the listing. So that's something that you do have to be a little careful of, is that those other people aren't selling knockoff products and just selling it under your name because your name has a good standing in the marketplace and taking advantage of that. You know, like Nike has a big problem with people selling knockoff shoes. Sure. And it can happen to the smaller businesses as well, because it's easier to get away with. You don't have lawyers out there looking for knockoffs and stuff like that. But yeah, I would definitely highly recommend starting to sell on Amazon, because there's a lot of profit that you're leaving there. And one thing you can do is down the road with your products, the ones that you send in or sell on Amazon, you can include little cards in them directing people back to your own website to register for deals on different products or whatever it might be. You have to be a little bit careful with that on Amazon, because Amazon isn't a big fan of directing people off of their website.
I imagine they wouldn't be.
No, but if you open up, let's say, a Sony camera, they're going to have the instruction manual in there with their website and a link to where they can register the products and get discounts and stuff like that. So the precedent is there, and you're no different than Sony or anybody else who's selling on Amazon. So it's something to think about down the line. But as far as starting to list on Amazon, it's really very easy. Anybody can go to the website is sellercentral.amazon.com, and you can sign up for, you can start with a personal account, but I'd highly recommend signing up for a professional seller account. It's only $40 a month, and it allows you to list a lot more products. Plus, it just is more like a normal business, and Amazon's going to treat you more like a normal business as far as getting on Amazon. So it's really easy. All you got to do is answer a few questions about your business, and you're set up and basically ready to start selling on Amazon.
Do they care if you're a sole proprietor, corporation, or anything? You know, what information do they need from you? Do you need to have a federal tax ID, anything like that?
I believe it is required to have a federal tax ID on the professional seller account. If you do the personal account, then it's just going to go off of your social security number. But a sole proprietorship is fine. You don't have to have like a business registration number or anything like that. You can use a social security number. I would highly recommend that you, if you haven't already set up an LLC, you're in Wisconsin, right?
I am.
And it's really cheap in Wisconsin. I forget exactly how much. I think it's less than $100 to register an LLC. And it's no different than doing your taxes and such, really, as a sole proprietorship, but you get the benefit of the LLC, where it gives you a little protection against if you got sued or something like that. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer, so you don't want to talk to a lawyer for sure, but basically the way I understand it is that if I got sued or they sued my business, it would protect myself from them being able to come after things that I own personally, like my home and my car and my personal bank account. They could only go after what's in the business. So like my business bank account, inventory, and things that the business owns. A lot of people do that. The biggest thing that I've heard over and over from accountants and lawyers and stuff like that is to make sure you have everything separate. So have a separate bank account. Even if you're doing it as a personal bank account, have a separate bank account that all transactions go through, and a separate credit card. Even if the credit card's in your personal name, because you can't always get a business credit card right off the bat.
Sure.
As long as it's separate, then that shows that if anything was to happen, that the business is separate from you. So it gives you a little protection there.
Come tax time, is there any real advantage to the LLC over for in terms of anything, reducing your tax liability?
No, it's a pass-through entity, so everything comes through to your personal taxes. It's basically just for that liability protection.
Okay.
Down the line, as you get bigger, you can convert over to like an S corporation, and if you're already an LLC, it's a little easier to convert to an S corporation, from what I understand. And then you get tax benefits in where, let's say you make $100,000 in profit. As an LLC or a sole proprietor, you'd have to pay taxes on that $100,000. But if you were an S corporation, you, instead of taking that entire $100,000 onto your personal taxes, you'd set a salary for yourself. It's supposed to be a reasonable salary of what it would cost you to hire someone. So let's say $50,000. Instead of paying taxes on that $100,000, then you'd only pay taxes on the $50,000. Not something you want to worry about right now, but down the line, that's cool. Something that a lot of accountants will recommend to save a lot of money, because on average 30% taxes on just saving $10,000 in taxes, that's $3,000. So now look at $50,000, and you're saving a lot of money really quick.
Well, as far as the Amazon store, so it's easy to set up the the professional seller account, it sounds like, and then it's $40 a month. What do you get for your $40? Is it just the ability to do more listings or automate some things, or what?
I'm not 100% sure all of the benefits, but the big one is the number of products that you can sell. Okay. So with the personal one, I'd have to look up the exact number, but I think you're limited to like 40 products or so many sales per month. It might be a dollar amount. I'd have to look on their page. It says there, but that's the biggest limitation, is that you can only do so many sales per month on the personal before they make you kick it up to the business one.
So there's a monthly, right? And they also charge, Amazon charges a commission on each sale, and if you actually use the Fulfilled by Amazon, they charge some sort of storage fee if you use that, right?
That's a really important thing to decide how you're going to do it. So on Amazon, you really have two main ways of selling. Either Fulfilled by Amazon, the FBA, which is where you are going to take a bulk amount of your products, basically whatever you think you can sell on there in a month, and send that all into Amazon warehouses. And Amazon will tell you which warehouses to send to. Alternately, you can do FBM, Fulfilled by Merchant, which would be selling single items and then shipping single items to the people who buy them on Amazon. So Amazon would get the sales for you, tell you that they sold, and you would then ship through Amazon. Now, Amazon gets really good rates on shipping, so that's nice. You can buy the shipping labels right through Amazon, so that helps keep shipping costs down. But the big thing with FBA is that's that little Prime check mark that you see on Amazon. Right. And that's very important if you're going to build a real successful business on Amazon. Now, there's ways to get Prime selling as a Fulfilled by Merchant if you keep your metrics good. So if you're shipping, I think if you wanted to be a prime seller and ship the items yourself, you have to ship everything within like 4 hours or something like that, and keep all these different metrics. So you can do it, but it's really difficult unless you're really on top of that kind of stuff. So for someone who's just starting out, I'd highly recommend doing the Fulfilled by Amazon. And you're going to have those fees, and all those fees are dependent on what the product type is, how big the product is, so basically how much square footage it takes up in Amazon, and then also the selling price. So they're going to take a percent based on all those variables.
Do they charge so you said like you want to ship them, if you're doing the FBA, you want to ship them about a month's worth of stuff that you think you can sell. Do they charge for that first month, or do they begin charging after the first month?
It's going to be after the first month. So that's why I say you want to try to manage your inventory so you have 30 days in there, like a rolling 30 days. And if you can keep stuff under that 30 days, then you never really get charged a warehouse storage fee. The warehouse storage fee is just charged after something's been sitting there for a full month.
If you kind of put everything together, what percentage of my sales am I going to be giving to Amazon?
Like what percentage in fees, you mean?
Yeah, in sales and revenue.
Well, I'm going to assume since it's beauty products, you probably have a lot of smaller items.
Yes.
Okay, so your storage fees are going to be very low because they're smaller items. So you're basically going to have like the FBA fee and then the referral fee. So basically Amazon providing the traffic for your sale. And I'd have to look for sure, but it could be anywhere from 20% to 40%, depending on the price of the product. And a lot of people only do the FBM because they think they're getting ripped off by the FBA, but you have to think about what you're getting for that. So you're with the FBA, you're getting all of the marketing of Amazon. You're getting to store your stuff in their warehouses. You're getting the employees to ship your product when they sell. You're getting Amazon pays for all the shipping to the customer, and the customer gets free shipping. We all know nothing is free, but they get free shipping included in that FBA fee that you're getting. If the customer has any problems, they call Amazon support, and Amazon handles all of the support. If they want to return something, Amazon handles the return and pays for all the return shipping as well. So you get a lot included in that FBA fee, even though it sounds like a high percent. Just think about that price, those prices that you would have to pay for someone else to do that, or shipping and all that stuff. It actually ends up being a pretty good deal for most products. If you're talking about really big and heavy stuff, then it can be a little more questionable. But for something small, I think it would be more than worth the money that FBA charges.
Does the seller get some feedback that if we are seeing some sort of a recurring pattern with something getting returned or something getting marked down for or dissatisfaction from the customer, am I going to see, if I'm using the FBA, am I going to see that feedback? Am I going to know to change anything?
Yeah, so it's a little bit buried, but there is a report in your business reports that will tell you the reasons that the customer stated for the return. Okay. So you can get an idea of what the problem might be. It can be a little bit skewed, and I'm not really familiar with the makeup thing, but you could get a little bit of skewing there because Amazon has those free returns as long as there's something wrong with the product. If they go on there and say they want to do a return because they don't like it or they bought the wrong one, then Amazon will try to charge a small return shipping fee for that. So you will have customers say that there's something wrong with the product just to get that free return shipping from Amazon. So you have to kind of weigh that in there. But
Sure.
like you said, if you see a recurring pattern that the makeup doesn't stay on my face or whatever, or the color's wrong, and you see that over and over on the same product, then that would be something that you could take into consideration to figure out what might be going on there.
I see listings on Amazon that are really good and ones that are not so good. So I feel like I have a little bit of and just having written a whole bunch of different sales pages and things like that and sales emails, I think I have a little bit of an edge maybe on some of my competition there. But I do notice that a lot of things that I see on Amazon are the same price or cheaper than you would find on someone's website, on that direct seller's website, which confounds me to no end. Like, you would think that they would mark it up because Amazon is taking a little bit of a commission on that. But then it does kind of make sense because there's probably a whole bunch of other people competing with you, and that's just driving down the price, probably, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you got to remember on Amazon, you're competing with everyone else who sells a similar product as yours. So you're not only competing with potentially other people who might be selling on your listing, let's say if you had wholesale sailors and stuff like that, you'd also be competing with anybody who has similar products. So you kind of have to weigh that and find the perfect price on Amazon where you're maximizing your profit and maximizing your sales. You don't want to be too cheap and get a ton of sales but not make enough profit, or be too expensive and then not get any sales. So you got to find that happy medium. So it really depends. And some you got to position yourself where you want to be as well. Do you want to be in the top of the market, the middle of the market, or the bottom of the market? And I would say you probably want to go towards the top of the market, be one of the more expensive players, and sell your product based on value or perceived value from the customer, in that you're a better product. Because you could take two exact same products and sell them on Amazon under different names, and one's $5 higher than the other, and the $5 one might get more sales or at least more profit because of the perceived higher value of that product. So you got to keep that in mind, that people kind of think that way. If it's cheap, then they think they're getting a cheap product. If it's expensive, then they think they're getting a good product.
And we're actually in the natural niche, so to speak. So I think you're definitely right. We'd be wanting to be in the higher end segment. But I've heard a lot of internet marketers talk about this a little bit. Well, at least some of the courses and stuff that are floating out there about how to resell and do some of this arbitrage stuff. They're talking about on Amazon, above a certain price, the pricing is less of a factor in the minds of the customer. And I've heard that threshold be like about $30 or something. In your experience, what is that number?
Personally, I'm not exactly sure, but it really depends on what category you're in as well. Because let's say you're selling TVs. For the most part nowadays, TVs are mostly very similar, from the cheap one to the more expensive one. Obviously, there's differences. Now you have curved TVs, and 4K and 8K and 50,000K will be coming soon, I'm sure. But a lot of times people are just, they're looking for the cheapest TV. I want the cheapest 55-inch TV that has good reviews, and that's the one they're going to grab. But like as you said, in the natural health and beauty area, it's going to be different, because the people who are looking for that product are used to paying more and are willing to pay more for something that they know or believe is good or better than what other people are selling out there. What that number is, I don't know if there's an exact number. It's really going to depend by the category, of course. I mean, you're not going to have a $30 TV, so it really depends. But once you get over a certain amount, it's going to be less a factor until you reach the point where it is a factor again. Because if you, let's say you're selling a $30 set of makeup, everybody's selling it at 30 and yours is at 100, well, that's probably going to be too big of a variance to justify someone doing that or buying yours. But if everybody else is selling it at 30 and you're selling it at 40, well, that $10, the perceived value might be enough that they're going to go ahead and purchase the higher value one.
But I'm really glad you brought up the reviews, because I know it's such an important, when you're selling on Amazon, the reviews are super important. When I do a search on Amazon, I'm almost everything I look for, I'm filtering by Prime and 4 stars or higher. Mm-hmm. That's just how I do, and actually I'm on Amazon quite a bit. But I'm guessing I'm not alone, and I'm guessing that it can be a challenge to build up reviews when you just put your product's brand new on Amazon or your listing is new. Can you speak to some of the ways to get those reviews, get those built up quickly, and anything else I might want to do for the first few listings?
Yeah, sure. So reviews are definitely important. No doubt about that. How important they are depends on the category that you're in, and it also depends on the quantity that your competition has. So let's say in your market, if you do a search for your main keyword that you think someone would search for, and your product has 5 reviews and everybody else has 500, then it's going to be a factor. But let's say you have 100 reviews and everybody else has 200 reviews. It's probably not going to be a big difference in getting the sale from 100 to 200. 5 to 100 or 200 or more, then that could play a role in people's decisions, and especially the star rating, how high that rating is. If I'm looking at the products and everybody's got 500 reviews, but this guy's got 4.9 and everybody else has 4 or 3, then the no-brainer is that I'm going to go with the 4.9 stars. Mm-hmm. And I do the same thing in sorting by reviews and all that stuff, but we have to keep in mind too that you and I as entrepreneurs are not normal people. So we're not the people who you want to look at as to how the normal Amazon person is searching. The normal Amazon person is probably searching, and they're going to search for the keyword natural makeup or whatever it might be, and they're going to look at that first page. Maybe they'll click that Prime button because they want the free shipping. That's probably the most common thing. But from there, they're probably just looking at that first page and buying from there, which is why it's so crucial that you get up to that first page when someone searches for your main search terms that you expect people to be searching for. And there's different tools that you can use out there, determine what those search terms are for your competition. Like the one that I use.
So this is like a Chrome extension, or it's a standalone?
It's a Chrome extension, and it's called Scope, SCOPE, just like it sounds. And it's made by the people over at Seller Labs. So it does cost money to get the service. But what that does is you can go to any listing and just open that up, and it shows you all of the keywords or search phrases that they are ranking for and an estimated number of sales that they think they're selling for. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to give you an idea of what those products are ranking for and how much they're selling for.
And so that sounds like a really powerful tool. I know you probably have your own proprietary secret sauce method of doing things, but what are some tips to make sure you get on the front page of that search?
So it's not really a secret. Do you know of Scott Volker over at The Amazing Seller?
I heard the name come up in one of your videos that you posted on Facebook, and then I looked it up, and I think I just read a little bit on the sales page, but I don't have the course or anything like that.
Okay. So I would highly recommend checking out some of his stuff. Everything or most of what I've learned and that got me started has come from his podcast and from his. He's got a private label workshop which is free. That would be something I would highly recommend you run through. I think it's about an hour long and kind of goes through all the steps because you're basically selling a private label product. So private label is basically just means it's your product with your brand on it. But in terms of getting your product ranked, what you'll want to do, another great Chrome extension is Jungle Scout. You can install that in Chrome, and then you do a search for the search term that you believe is the most likely term that people are going to search to find your product. And then you click the Jungle Scout app, and it will show you the estimated number of sales for all of those products on that first page. And then you can figure out how many products they're selling in a month. You divide that by 30, and that's the number of products they're selling per day. And you want to try to sell that amount for at least 8 days in a row, 8 days or more. So you can do that either by giving a discount out. So I don't know, do you have maybe an email list built up?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
It's not a big one, but yeah. So
it's a place to start. That's a big thing to do for building your brand, is getting a big email list, because what you can do is say, hey, we're launching our product on Amazon, and because you guys are our loyal customers, we're going to give you 30% off or 50% off or whatever amount you think will take for them to get excited about it. Since they're already your customers, it'll take less to get them excited. So maybe 30 or 40%. You can play with that to see what starts getting you some sales. You can start off by launching to your list like that. And then you could also use services like jumpsend.com to try and give away your product to a market or a group of people that are basically there to try to get cheap products. It's not quite as good because you're going to have to give a lot bigger discount, maybe 70 or 80 or 90% to really get people interested. But the goal is here to get people to buy enough of your product every day for 8 days to match those estimated number of sales. And the reason for 8 days is because Amazon kind of has a rolling count of the number of products that you sell. Nobody knows for sure, but it's like the first hour, last 24 hours, the last week, last month, the last 3 months, year, and whatever it may be. And that's how they determine what ranking people are going to get on their website, because obviously for Amazon they make money by selling products, so they want the products that are the best sellers and the best for the customer to show up first. And the best way for them to determine that is the number of people are buying it. If more people are buying your product, then that must be a good product, so they're going to move it up in the rank. And
so I get that you're going to get more traffic as a result of ranking. Yep. But are you going to have to maintain, let's say, you do an email blast and you do get a bunch of people in that first 8 days. Do you have to maintain that level of sales, and can ranking high kind of do that for you, or are you still going to have to, keep hustling every month to give discounts or try to boost that number somehow?
It really depends on the depth of your market and how much competition, I should say, is in the market on Amazon. So if you search for your main keyword and everybody's got 1,000 or more reviews, and you use Jungle Scout and everybody's selling like 3,000 products a month of their items, then you're probably going to be in it where you're going to have to be giving product away every month, every week to maintain that spot, because those other people are going to be doing the same. It just becomes a competition. So you have to determine what your profit is and how much it's going to cost to give you away those products, and calculate that into your bottom line for what profit levels you're willing to take off of the product. And that's going to just have to be included in as part of your marketing. You gotta kind of think of it as advertising. Your e-commerce store, you advertise it to get traffic to there. You either advertise it on Google, or you do search engine optimization, or you advertise it on Facebook and you're paying to do that. Same kind of thing on Amazon. Amazon's doing all the marketing to get people to their platform, and now you do the advertising to make sure that your product shows up first with those people. Now, in addition to that, though, Amazon does have advertising inside of it. So you can run ads for your product, because everything you search on Amazon, like the first few are going to be sponsored ads. You'll see the little sponsored ad link underneath there. And then even scattered down below and in the middle, there's going to be sponsored ads as well. And that's people paying for so much per click. So you could say, I'm willing to pay $2 per click, and you're going to bid against other people and be ranked on the page depending on those bids. Now, you only pay if people click, though. So that's a whole nother game that you'd have to dig into, and that you're going to want to turn on and do for your launch, because it's going to help you start getting more sales through those sponsored ads. But the goal with the sponsored ads is, at the beginning you're going to lose a lot of money. But for example, I use a tool called what's it called? Called Ignite, by the same people over there at Seller Labs. And what that does is it tracks all of my advertisements, what people are clicking on and what terms they're searching for. And it slowly narrows in the terms so that it becomes cheaper to advertise, so that you can get it down to, let's say your profit on an item is 50%. Right. If you get your advertising down below 50%, average cost of sale is what Amazon calls it, ACOS. If you get your ACOS, your average cost per sale, down below 50%, well, now you're getting those sales either at break even or below. The goal obviously is to get it below, but you kind of got to think of those sponsored ads as just additional advertising and traffic to boost your listing, to get organic sales and help more organic sales roll in as well.
Sometimes when I click on things on Amazon, I see some of that stuff on Facebook. Is there the ability to retarget to other platforms at all with ads?
Yeah, definitely. So Amazon does a lot of that for you. If you search for your product on Amazon, or not Amazon, but on Google, you very well might see Amazon ads for your product right on there. Because Amazon does a lot of that for you. Now, on the other hand, you can run your own Google, and I would more recommend probably Facebook and Instagram, but you'd have to figure out where your market is hanging out, and drive traffic that way. Now, you wouldn't want to drive the traffic directly to Amazon, because you can't track it from there. You don't know if they bought or anything else, or what happened to them after that. What you would want to do, you have your own e-commerce site. So from Facebook, you'd want to drive them to your e-commerce site, maybe to a landing page where you're doing a giveaway for like a $200 basket of your cosmetics or whatever you want to give away. And people can register to win that product. So you're going to build your email list that way. And you're going to have maybe a series of emails that after people sign up, you try to get them to share the giveaway for more entries. And there's different tools out there to help with that as well.
Who owns the email addresses that, let's say somebody purchases from Amazon from you? Do you get to keep that customer information? Can I import that into my email list and all of that?
No, unfortunately not. The email addresses are all anonymized because Amazon
Ah.
doesn't want you to steal those customers. But that's why I say doing a Facebook ad for your products to a contest, now you get their email address. And then after the contest is over, you give a winner and you send an email and say, hey, we've picked a winner. Click here to see if it was you. And it takes them to another page and it shows the name of the winner. And then offers them maybe 30% or 50% off the product that you just gave away to help boost sales on Amazon as well. But then also you have their email address forever unless they unsubscribe, so you can keep providing value to them and marketing to them. Now, you just don't want to market to your email list. You want to start providing value. Like, I don't know, on your current e-commerce website, if you have a blog and you do tips and tricks and things like that for using your products.
It's very new. I just launched it in January, and all I've done is one shameless website launch email, and kind of revenue grab from that discount, that coupon. So, but
Okay.
it was successful. We got a whole bunch of orders in, but we just got this started, and yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. We're gonna be doing some value giving emails and all of that in the series, hopefully warming up that relationship even more.
Yeah, it's really important. So I don't know if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, he has a book
And
called Jab, 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 Right Hook.
yeah,
And that's exactly what you want to do with your emails. So you provide value, you provide value, provide value, and then you go with a sales pitch.
ask for a visit. Okay.
But you always want to provide more value than sales, because people aren't going to stay signed up to your email list if you're just trying to sell to them all the time. But if you're saying, hey, check out this new way to get rid of acne or whatever the case may be, and you're breaking it down and writing a nice long blog post or making a YouTube video, whatever is easiest for you, on how people can help themselves and live a better life or use their cosmetics better or beauty products or whatever it is, that's going to help people stay on your email list and also build up kind of a loyal following, because people will be like, well, this guy helped me with all this free information. Now when I need the products, well, I'll buy through him. He's giving me all this free stuff. So it
Yeah,
helps build
I've
up a
seen that
following.
work with many different bloggers and different websites that I've followed. That person, these thought leaders are kind of in a completely different place now because of that approach. So I'm a big believer in that.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of the only way to do it nowadays. I mean, people are so used to being sold to that they can smell it a mile away,
Hmm.
and they're tired of it, and especially the younger generations as well. I mean, they don't even pay attention to half of that stuff. They're getting blasted so much that you just tune it out. So, but if you're there providing value and giving them a reason to follow you, that when you do go ahead and make a sale or try to make a sale, no one's going to care, and some people will even buy from you just to thank you for providing the content that you provided.
We're really digging deep here, but I just had a quick, just to come back to the ranking factors for a second. How much of a ranking factor is like the sales volume compared to other things? I imagine it's not the only ranking factor, right? Like there's got to be just the quality of it's just how many images you have in your listing. I'm guessing because people want to. I'm speculating here, so correct me if
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally off on this stuff. There's probably a couple other ranking factors that are, if your volume is lagging a little bit, you can at least make up for it a little bit in other areas.
The ranking, and again, nobody knows exactly how Amazon does it, but the ranking is pretty much all the quantity of sales.
Okay.
If not all of it, I would say probably 95, 96% or higher.
Okay.
Um, Everything else is conversion factors,
I see.
which plays just as important of a role, because let's say Amazon you get a bunch of sales from your launch that we did. And so Amazon moves you up to the top, and now you're getting 1,000 people to visit your listing, but only 10 of those are buying your product. Amazon's not going to keep giving you all those clicks if you're not getting the conversions. And the conversions have to do with, number one, your pictures, having awesome pictures that are highly and professionally done. So I would highly recommend getting like a professional photographer to do them for you. If you can find somebody local, it's awesome because then you can keep going to them. And in the long run, the price is usually cheaper. But then also your title, having a good catching title that is easy for the customer to read, but also has your keywords in it, your key phrases. And then the bullet points from there, having bullet points that don't only say like the benefits of the product, but emotionally connect with the customer. So your makeup might be natural, so you could say, well, we have all natural beauty products, and that's fine, but you want to say why that's important and tell the customer that if you want clearer skin, then get our acne cream because it's all natural and safe for your skin, and it's not gonna cause wrinkles or whatever the case may be. I don't know enough about it, but
I know exactly what you mean. Absolutely. I try to put that into my copywriting, making sure that every feature that I list connects emotionally to a problem that the customer has. I think that's a really good point. As far as the title, though, you brought up the title. I see sometimes when I search for products, like on my website, my e-commerce website right now, I optimize for certain keywords that are, in my mind, the person's looking for a product. And I often get some of these sponsored Google product image kind of things pop up, and I often see Amazon listings pop up, which tells me the Amazon is getting indexed quite a bit. If Google thinks you're searching for a product, Amazon gets indexed in that search result. So how important is thinking about Google SEO when creating your Amazon listing title or whatever?
It's definitely important. That's kind of where your search terms, search phrases come in. So that tool that I mentioned earlier, Scope, that's a really good one for finding out, going to your competition, your biggest competition, and using that tool to find out what they're actually selling for. Now you're going to have to use your common sense and kind of weed out the terms that don't make sense, because what Scope does is it just finds all of the terms or search phrases that they rank for and then gives you an idea of what they might be selling through there. But if they're selling acne cream and they're ranking for nail polish, obviously, there's a disconnect there. So even though they're showing up for it, they're probably not getting many sales through that. So you got to use your own common sense for that and determine what phrases are most important and put those into your title. And you pretty much want to use up all the space that Amazon gives you in your title, but you have to remember that while you're trying to rank on Amazon and Amazon is looking for those search terms, it's the buyer who has to read that title, and the title has to make sense. So you have to kind of weigh it back and forth and make sure you're getting all the search terms in there, but the title makes sense and that it's not just a bunch of words put together.
Right. Okay. That's good advice. So it's just kind of finding the happy medium between those things. I find that that's true in SEO in general for regular, like you need to know what people are searching for, and sometimes what they're searching for is a little weird. So you got to think about how to stitch that into a good usability experience when they actually do hit your website or they hit the page that they click on, so that they're still looking for, or they're feeling like they're matching what they're looking for. So,
And that's where you really have to keep in mind that the SEO for Amazon, search engine optimization for Amazon, is completely different than for Google.
right.
It's not going to be the same phrases, and that's one reason you're going to want to blog on your e-commerce store, because on on Google, they might search for how to get rid of acne. And if you wrote a blog post on how to get rid of acne using your all-natural products, then that might show up and they click on it, and that's what they're looking for. They're not necessarily looking to buy yet on Google, but on Amazon, you go to Amazon to buy products. You don't go to Amazon necessarily to research how to do something. So on Amazon, the keyword or the search phrase might be best acne cream or whatever they're searching for. So the phrase is going to be different than what you're going to be targeting on Google. Some people search and buy on Google. Not everybody's on Amazon, obviously, but for the majority, the search phrases are going to be different between Google and Amazon.
That's good. That's yeah. I see. I mean, just that volume thing that you were talking about, how important that is. That is completely different way of thinking about it than thinking about how to rank on Google, and how to make sure your listing stays high.
Yep. Yeah, Google's looking for the most relevant content, and Amazon is looking for the best product to sell you. So, completely different ways of looking at the content.
Great stuff. I guess just at this point, I think I need to get my store opened and start putting some listings out there, and just start, think about doing a launch, like you said, to try to get that first wave of sales in there quickly.
Yep.
I see that sometimes I get a box from Amazon and it's got something, or there's an email follow-up often where it's like, tell us what you think of the product. How is it? How's it going with it? It's soliciting reviews, basically. Do you recommend that sort of approach too?
Yeah, 100%. That's absolute must. And you can either do that manually through Amazon's back end, sending emails, or you can automate that with a program, another service that you'd have to pay for, but well worth it. I believe the one I use is called SalesBacker.
Okay.
And that automates sending those emails, and you can set it up to send like immediately after the purchase, immediately after it ships, one day after they receive it, and then maybe a couple weeks after they receive it, I believe is the sequence that I use to keep people informed that, hey, your product shipped. Hey, you should have gotten your product yesterday. Let us know if there's any issues. And then maybe a week to 14 days after, you send and say, hey, hope everything's going good. If not, let us know. And can you click here to leave us feedback? And that would go to leave seller feedback, not product reviews yet. You want to leave seller feedback on your account because you want to build your seller feedback, because that's kind of your reputation on Amazon. And then for the people who leave you positive feedback, then you can go back into Amazon and send them an email asking if they would review the product.
So you can still send your customers stuff out of Amazon as a mass email. Is that what you're saying? So you can still send your customers stuff out of Amazon as a mass email. Is that what you're saying?
Not as a mass email, really, but SalesBacker basically connects into Amazon and just sends the email for you through their system. So you can have templates of emails and just automate those emails going out, and they'll customize them for you depending on the product that they bought and things like that.
But if I'm logged into my Amazon seller account, how can I communicate with my let's say a recent customer? I can only basically send them like a message through the system individually, but I can't do like a batch or a group kind of thing, right?
Correct. I don't believe that there's any way to batch.
Yeah.
You get like a scrambled email address, so I guess you could collect those and send a batch, but I'm not sure if that would be against Amazon's terms of service or not to do that, because they really only want you to communicate with the customer about their particular order. So if you started sending them, saying, hey, we got this promotion or whatever, then Amazon wouldn't like that very much. And you also don't want to ask for positive reviews or
Yeah.
5-star reviews or anything, because that's against the terms of service as well.
That brings me to a good segue here. What should I do to avoid getting my account suspended or whatever? What are like big no-nos that you need to steer clear of with being an Amazon seller?
So, like I said, I think the biggest one right now, especially since Amazon got kind of attacked in the media over it, was the review thing. Back, say, a year ago, what people would do to launch is that we would give product away for free in exchange for reviews.
Okay.
Now, we wouldn't say that they had to leave a 5-star review, but these groups were basically conditioned to leave positive reviews in exchange for free product. And Amazon came down on that and said, can't do that anymore. If you do that, we find out, we're going to remove the review, and if you keep doing it, we're going to suspend your account.
Even if they say they got it for free in the review, it's not allowed anymore?
Correct. Nope, they don't want any of that. That'll get removed.
Solicited reviews can get you banned, right?
Yeah, so you want to be careful with that.
Okay.
In addition to that, getting kicked off of Amazon, you kind of just got to think to yourself and just kind of feel, does this feel right? If what you're doing kind of feels a little shady or maybe in the gray area, then you probably want to be a little careful about doing that.
Let's take a gray area example and tell me if this would fly or not, or tell me if you would do this. So you have legitimate product reviews on your website from customers. Can you take that and put that on your Amazon?
You can't put it on your Amazon, but what you could do, and other people have done, and it's not against terms of service or anything like that, as long as you don't ask them to leave you a 5-star review. But you could send an email out to your past customers and say, hey, we launched on Amazon. Can you go over and let us know what you thought of this product and leave a review over on Amazon? Now, if they're still on your email list, they probably liked the product, so hopefully they'll leave a 5-star. But as long as you don't ask them to leave a 5-star or a positive review, then you'd be fine doing that. Now, and that would be actually a really good tactic as part of that opening launch strategy to start getting some reviews. But unless those people bought on Amazon, they're not going to be verified reviews. So there's if you look at a product, there's going to show verified purchaser next to some people's names or most people. If they didn't purchase the product and they left a review, then it doesn't say that. So those reviews don't have as much weight with Amazon in terms of how good your product is, but it can help you convert with other people that maybe don't know your brand or are just finding your product. So it's definitely a good idea. But I would do that with the thought in mind that they could get removed. Amazon does go through and clean up reviews from time to time, so if for whatever reason they think that those reviews are not valid or they're just not good being on there, they might just remove them. So they'll probably stick for a week, a month, a year, maybe forever, but eventually they might just get cleared out of there as the automated system goes through and cleans things up.
And I just have a couple last questions. I promise it's been a really good conversation. It's been really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm enjoying it.
Whole page of notes here too. So I have these 2 clients right now I'm working with. If I wanted to get something on my own going, because I want to build another stream, eventually I want to be able to have some e-commerce, passive income, maybe some other source to where I don't need to track down and work with clients as much, and I could just have my own business. There are a bunch of different business models that I've seen with selling on Amazon. Maybe it might be helpful if you tell me, if you could tell me like ones that just for sure don't work, or I could just give you a couple examples. I've seen ones where people buy on eBay, sell on Amazon, or vice versa. I've seen, I hear a lot about AliExpress. There's a guy out there named Alex something that's pushing this whole, buy on AliExpress and resell on Amazon or whatever. The drop shipping model versus carrying the inventory. I guess, can you give me some pros and cons of drop shipping? It's pretty obvious you don't carry the inventory. You're just kind of making a little bit of that difference of. But is it, can you would have to sell a pretty high volume, I think, to make the kind of money that you would be able to replace an income with that. And at that level, you'd have to automate for sure the ordering process, I feel like, across those platforms. If someone places an order through your website and then you're reordering it through AliExpress, or somebody places the order on Amazon, whatever it may be. What are your thoughts on what's sustainable as to replace, let's say, an income of $50,000 or more? What would you go with?
So, yeah, there's obviously a lot of options, and I've done a lot of them, from retail arbitrage to wholesale to private label. I've done the eBay flipping as well, and I haven't done drop shipping, but there's a lot of different options out there. The one that I am pushing towards the most is wholesale and private label through Amazon FBA, fulfilled by Amazon. And the reason is for that is it's the most reliable, and Amazon really likes the fulfilled by Amazon part of it. Unless you're fulfilled by merchant and you can get to the point where you're doing that prime shipping, you're on top of everything and you're moving product and getting it out the door, and you can do that seller fulfilled prime, it's called. That would be another option, but with that, then you have to have a warehouse and keep all the products and ship everything individually as well. So it's a whole nother business model as opposed to what I'm looking at. The retail arbitrage, I still do a fair amount of that and make a lot of good money off of that. So that market is still very good. But with the online arbitrage and the eBay flipping and such like that, I think that is going to be getting more and more difficult. I don't really do any of that anymore. And you see a lot of tools now that automate just about all of that, from going out to websites and scraping websites and finding profitable products on Amazon and stuff like that. And I kind of feel like once you get to that level, that a lot of the profit is going to be out of that market unless you are so fast at getting those products purchased and onto Amazon and sold that you're going to lose, or have the potential to lose, any profit or maybe even the original money that you spent on the product. So it's going to get more and more difficult as it gets easier and easier. It seems whenever something starts getting more and more easy to do, it's going to get more and more difficult to make profit.
Which thing is getting easier? You think wholesale arbitrage or retail arbitrage?
Online arbitrage and eBay flipping. And I say easier in that it's automated and you don't have to do as much work, because that means that people are going to see the quick buck and more people are going to jump in there and do it. Easier for people to get into the game and start doing it, which is going to drive down prices. And the key for online arbitrage and eBay flipping is that you get it into Amazon, you sell it quickly before other people do the same thing and drive the price down.
Where your alternative to this is ordering a giant pallet of something from a wholesaler and getting that onto Amazon's warehouse
Mm-hmm.
and selling it that way. Do I have it about right?
Correct. But the big thing with like wholesale, for example, is that I can order all the product that I think I'm going to need for the next month and get it into Amazon and kind of keep rolling that and ordering product and sending it in. And I can repeat that with the same product as long as that product is selling profitable. With online arbitrage and eBay, a lot of times you can't do that. A lot of times it's a one-off. You can only buy so many products and then they're gone if it's a clearance, or the price changes on eBay, or the sales ends on the e-commerce site that you're buying the arbitrage products from. But with wholesale, I know how much I'm going to spend. I know much it's going to be. I know what my profit is going to be, and I know how long it's going to take for me to get it and get it into Amazon. And so I can keep reordering to keep my stock in there and keep selling that same product. Where with online arbitrage and eBay, it's a never-ending battle. Even with retail arbitrage, it's a never-ending battle of finding new products, because the products you bought last month or last week are no longer profitable, so you can't buy those same ones anymore.
So what advice would you have to find, because I do have an idea for, like, there is sort of a niche that I know pretty well. I'm a home brewer. I make beer. I've been doing that for many, many years. And there's some higher end products that experienced home brewers will spend a lot of money on. And so I've always had a little bit of this idea of maybe doing an Amazon store for something like that. How would you approach or find a wholesaler for a product? Let's say you don't know anybody in the industry at all. How did you kind of set up your first few wholesale relationships?
So I basically just started cold emailing people.
Okay.
What I did is I have a niche that I like to do my wholesale in because I'm very familiar with it and I know what works, what doesn't. And one of the key things that I've done to be profitable is create packages out of products. So put 2 products or more that I know go good together and sell those as a package. And that way I'm the only seller selling that and I can make more profit off of that. With finding those products, what I did is I went to a niche website for the niche that I'm in. So for the beer brewing, there's probably a e-commerce website out there that is the largest e-commerce seller of those products in that niche. So you find that and then go in there, click through the products, and for every product it's going to have a brand name. So take that brand name, search for it in Google, find their website, find their contact us link, and send them off an email and say, hey, I'm an Amazon specialist, Amazon resale specialist. I would like to get a wholesale price list and possibly sell your products at wholesale. Please send me an email or give me a call. And I'd send that off to as many brand or manufacturers that I could find on that website, 20, 30, 40, 60, 100, and you're going to get replies from a good number of them. A lot of them will say, we're not looking for anybody to sell on Amazon, or to sell you have to have a retail store. But a good number of them will say, yeah, here you go, here's the list. Or they'll say, fill out this form and then we'll send you the list. And that's how I found some of my big wholesalers. So I've got one really big one, and then several medium size and a couple small ones that I'm doing and selling their products now, and those are going very well. So that's kind of how I did it. You just cold emailing, basically. I guess you could call as well, but I think into today's world, a lot of people are really busy, and an email is just easier to send off, and then they can reply at their convenience.
Are a lot of them requiring you to submit some sort of, um, your history as a seller? I don't know what. I just remember when I had a business a long time ago in a completely different industry. Some of these places, to set up an account, you had to either go through a credit check, or you had to have some kind of references or something like that. Do you find that's at all a hurdle in this?
Yeah, definitely for the bigger ones. The smaller wholesalers, they didn't really
Yeah,
ask me for anything. They just sent me, here's the price list, let us know what you want to buy, kind of thing.
yeah.
And the bigger ones, though, they will ask for trade references. And I'm assuming you buy your ingredients from somebody. So they would be your trade reference, especially if they provide you any kind of net terms. They provide you product on an invoice that you're going to pay later.
Yeah.
That's big and helpful. Another one that they'll ask for is like your bank. They'll ask for your banker. So if you develop a relationship with a banker at the bank that you have your business accounts at, that's helpful, so you can provide his information. They can get information from them to make sure that you're a real business. Basically, they just want to make sure that you're a real business. You're not just a fly-by-night kind of person. And if they're going to give you net terms, they want to make sure that you're going to actually pay them. Now, some of the wholesalers that I buy from, I am still buying with credit card up front, which I'm going to be emailing them and talking with them to change that to net terms, because that's just kind of nice to be able to buy and sell the products before you actually get them, or before you actually have to pay them, I should say.
Yeah.
So that's nice, but just try to come up with, they usually like 3 trade references and then a bank reference. If you don't have those, then you're going to have to target the smaller manufacturers who are going to give you those terms without any kind of trade references, so you can build those trade references up and then just let them know that, say, hey, I'm applying to sell this person's products, can I use you as a trade reference? And most people don't have any problem with that.
Just out of curiosity, are you familiar with the American Express Plum Card?
American Express Plum Card?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
It's the whole. I only bring this up because you said trade terms, and I used to do some sales training for American Express, and I just Googled it. It's still out there. It's still a thing. This was many years ago, but it gives you 60 days trade terms. Basically, they market it as trade terms for everyone. So it's a business credit card that allows you to, I think, do an interest-free thing for 60 days on repeated, over and over purchases.
No, I had not heard of that. That's interesting. But what I actually use is the Capital One Venture card, which, any credit card you get 30 days to pay it back interest-free. So that's kind of automatic terms there. But then I also get 2% cash back on that. And between my 2 cards, my personal one and my business one, I think in like the last few months, I've got racked up about $4,000 worth of points. So that's kind of helpful. I use that for like vacations and stuff like that. So it's like a built-in vacation fund that I use. So I don't know if you needed the longer terms, and that other one would probably be helpful, but I usually just go off the rolling 30 days on the credit card and just pay that off every month, so that I don't get any credit or interest on that, and then I also get those points as well, which is nice.
So I sell these products that are already, they're not my products, they're already done. But if I wanted to start my own store, and any other entrepreneur that would watch this, would you recommend they start some in a segment or a niche that they already know the product, they know the customer, maybe something like that? Or would you say that's not really that important, and you should just look at, kind of take the approach of, where is the demand not being filled instead?
Well, it's definitely easier if you do a niche that you know. And the reason for that is because if you know the niche, if you're making your own products, you're going to know if it's a good product or not. If you are in the niche and you are involved in it, you're going to know what's good, what's not good. Because one thing you want to do, especially on Amazon now, is differentiate your product. Either make it better than everybody else's by adding something, or whatever the case may be as to why people should buy your products over someone else's products. Amazon is maturing, so the sellers on Amazon are getting bigger and bigger. And while it's still, new people can still get in and make a lot of money on Amazon, it does need to be done a little more professional than what it used to be done. So it takes the work of actually building a business rather than just grabbing a product, as you said, on AliExpress and throwing it up and making $50,000 or whatever it might be. And to bring AliExpress, because I'd never answered that part of it, you can still do that. But just like with the eBay and the online arbitrage, it's getting more difficult to make profits on that because so many people are in doing that. So the profit margins are getting smaller and smaller, and we're really to the point on Amazon where you need to build a business and a reason why people buy your product and improve your product and make it a better product for people to buy it.
I was just browsing on their stuff on AliExpress, and I was looking at it. I was like, man, they got these RoboVacs for like half of what we sell RoboVacs for. I was like, this is going to make a killing. Nope. I go on Amazon. Those same exact RoboVacs are being sold for the exact same price they are on AliExpress, pretty much. So I don't know how they're making any money on this. But it seems like, yeah, if you find a wholesale, quote-unquote, channel that is really accessible to a lot of people, then you're not going to find anything that you can mark up.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it. I've sold some products direct from AliExpress in the past, and I have one that's still listed. It doesn't sell much, but I do make a profit off of it, not because it's different necessarily than what everybody else is selling, but because I've branded it different. So everybody else is selling it for one market, and I found a use in a complete different market, and I tailored my search terms and such for that market. So I'm selling some products that way directly from AliExpress. The only reason I'm doing that, though, is because then to prove that it's working, and then down the line I'm going to switch it over to a private label where I have my brand, and I have a manufacturer making them directly for me and probably tweak them and make them better down the line. So it's not something that I just do to try to make money. But if you see an area that's not being served and you use it as a test, let's say those robot vacuum cleaners, you're like, oh, there's not very many people selling these. I want to see if it will work, but maybe if I repurpose it for not cleaning someone's house, but for cleaning the garage, and I target that market or whatever, or sweeping up your deck or something, and you target the people looking for that, you might be able to get some sales off of that. And then you can say, hey, this is selling. I'm going to take this and go find the actual manufacturer, and I'm going to make these tweaks and make it better for this purpose and sell it as my own product. So that's one way you could use AliExpress to kind of test the market a little bit. But I wouldn't really look at buying from AliExpress as a way to make profit as much as a way to maybe test a market that you're not sure about.
Seems like the biggest limitation there is, the Amazon consumer. It seems like, we've been trained to, like, I'm going to get this thing in 3 days, and then everything on Ollie is like 7 to 9, at the fastest is going to be that really slow, literally shipped on a shipping container, probably from China, right?
Yeah, and with the AliExpress, I'm not buying AliExpress when I sell. I'm saying,
Oh,
hey, that product, I think I could repurpose it. And what's nice
yeah.
about AliExpress is you can order 5, 10, 15, 20 small amounts, get
Hmm.
them, send them into Amazon FBA, and see if they sell. If they sell, order more, and just keep ordering kind of like you would from a wholesale supplier until you either want to scrap it or say, hey, this might be a good area to look at doing this seriously.
Yeah, I was thinking about them more as a drop shipping thing because
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to start out with just a minimal risk and hopefully just learn, you know, step by step, learn as I go, kind of with
Mm-hmm.
it without risking a large number, a large pool of money. But on that note, do you know of anything like that in the U.S.? Like what AliExpress? Is there a U.S. based drop shipping index or some kind of database at all?
Not that I know. There is. I've heard of it, but I'm not sure the name off the top of my head. But if you do a Google search
Yeah,
for manufacturers in the United States or drop shippers in the United States, I'm sure you get a lot of results. I don't think there's anything as nice as AliExpress or Alibaba.
mm-hmm.
But I mentioned earlier that I don't really do drop shipping. I've never done it. And you asked about what things could get your Amazon account suspended. And
Yeah,
that's actually a big one. Not the drop shipping in and of itself, but if you sell something on Amazon and you don't ship it in time, or you have to
mm-hmm.
cancel it, or it doesn't end up coming to the customer, or they get the wrong product, too much of that could cause Amazon to suspend your account, and your account can very quickly go into a negative status if you do a few of those transactions. And when you're drop shipping, you don't control any of that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sell the product and then hope that the product is still for sale through the drop shipper at the same price. And then you make that order through the drop shipper and you have to hope that they ship it out in time, that they send you a tracking number that you can enter into Amazon because Amazon
Yeah,
wants to know that information. You
yeah,
have to hope they're sending them the right product. And then if there's a return, then you got to go through that dance to get it returned back to the drop shipper. And for me, even though drop shipping sounds so easy, it also sounds to me just like more hassle than I would want to go through, and more
yeah.
risk than I would want to take with my business on Amazon.
With that in mind, what's the largest shipment that you've sent over to FBA, fulfilled by Amazon warehouses?
Shipment in terms of quantity, on
Like,
average, right now, I'm probably sending anywhere between 8 to 15 to 20 boxes when I do a shipment.
mhm.
Um, dollar wise, that's probably the biggest dollar wise might have been about $4,000 or $5,000. But remember, I'm trying to get better at managing my inventory. I need to improve that area, and so that I'm not getting those warehouse fees. So it's not like I'm ordering. I mean, the biggest order I've ever made was a $10,000 order from one of the new suppliers that I got, because one of their terms was that I could order, as long as I ordered more than $10,000, I could buy it in November and not have to pay for it until May. And I got all these big breaks in terms of discounts for buying that volume.
Mm.
Um, and I sent that into Amazon in maybe a couple different shipments. So probably $4,000 or $5,000 is the biggest shipment going into Amazon.
That would buy a lot of the product I sell.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. But
well,
I
that's
was
cool.
with that. What I was doing is I was testing lots of different products, and I made a lot of different packages out of that stuff, and sent them into Amazon. I bought basically $10,000 worth of stuff, but only like a couple of each thing, or maybe
Yeah.
5 or 6 of each thing. And then I made the packages, sent them into Amazon, and as they sold and I seen they were profitable, then now I'm reordering larger quantities of the ones that have been successful.
Psychologically, at what point did you get comfortable with with playing with that high amount of money, with risking, chunks of money like that. I mean, I'm guessing you didn't start with those sizes of orders and those sizes of shipments. I don't know how many months in you are with your business now, or years.
Mm-hmm.
When did you get comfortable?
Well, I started the business officially January 1st, 2015. That's when I registered the LLC. And so I was just kind of playing with Amazon a little bit and decided that, hey, maybe I want to make a business out of this. Plus, by registering as a business, you get whole lots of tax discounts and write-offs and things that otherwise you can't, like writing off your home office and lots of other things. But it kind of slowly went from there. I was selling on eBay before that, and then I found out about this Amazon thing through Scott Volker over at The Amazing Seller, and sent all of the product that I was selling on eBay individually into Amazon, and Amazon lost the whole shipment. It wasn't a lot. It was like 30 of these bed sets that I was selling at the time.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh man, now I'm just lost all this. But then Amazon gave me a credit for the retail value of everything that they lost. And I'm like, wow, that's a easy way to sell my product really fast right away. That was the first shipment that I ever sent into Amazon.
Wow.
And I'm like, so this is kind of interesting. So I started going from there. I ordered more of those bed sets. That worked out okay, but then I found out that I was doing something that people really hate and that I didn't know at the time, coming from eBay, because eBay, it doesn't matter. But on Amazon, with the private labeling, so people order from Alibaba and then brand it and sell it under their brand. Well, I didn't know any of that at the time, so I was just sending my product, which was the exact same product, unbranded, and selling under this other person's listing. So I guess I was considered a hijacker at the time, even though I didn't know what that was, coming from the eBay world, because it didn't matter over there. You just sold the products,
Yeah.
So I stopped selling that and started dabbling with trying to do my own private labels, which I've got one product that's doing good, that I think I'll be able to make much better. And then I've had a couple products that I am just clearancing out because they're not working the way I wanted them to. And then I've got a couple other things off to my left here that I'm going to be working on and possibly starting to do private label there as well.
When you say private label, just to make sure I understand what you're saying, because maybe it varies from industry to industry. I always thought of private label as meaning you purchase a product that's not your own from, let's say, the manufacturer, but they allow you to give you a license to actually rebrand it as your own brand.
Yes, that is private label, but private label can also be considered your own product. So I would consider what you're selling as your private label products.
Okay.
And basically I say that is because I don't know if you manufacture your products or if you have a company that makes the packaging and puts everything in it and mixes the formulas for you.
We do pretty much everything,
Okay.
except for we purchase packaging for it, and we print our own labeling and everything. It's everything.
So you're a manufacturer and the brand or the private labeler.
Right.
Where Apple iPhones, Apple doesn't make their own iPhones. They go to a manufacturer who manufactures the iPhones to their specifications, and then they put their iPhone logo on it, and that's an Apple product. So we wouldn't say anything bad about that, or not necessarily bad. You're not saying anything bad, but Apple is a private labeler on a big scale, because they go to a manufacturer who makes the products to their specs. Now, what you might be looking at is, these manufacturers, they sell this same product to 100 different people and everybody puts their label on it. that could also be called maybe white labeling, where you're taking someone else's product and doing it, and that's a viable market. But what I try to do is I make tweaks to the product to make them better and make them my own and make them much more difficult for someone else to just get that same product and resell it.
So you would steer clear in this case of, or it's just not your thing to look for products that are, sold under that brand. For example, like in the home brewing world, one of the highest end brewing kettles that you can buy is a Blickman Engineering brewing kettle, and their brand name is very strong. Like, they're very well known across the in the home brewing world, and even now is in pro brewing. They're making a play. So you wouldn't sell a product like that with a really strong brand name.
Okay. So are you saying, though, as like a wholesale purchaser or private labeling it?
Buying it wholesale and then selling it on Amazon, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. If it's something that is profitable, for sure. There's no reason not to do that. With wholesaling, though, the same thing with private labeling a product straight from Alibaba and not making any changes is that you're going to get competition most likely. So you're going to be competing on price in the long run. Where if you're making your own products and making them different and unique and making them your own, you're having the market more to yourself because your product is unique and it's the only one like that. And if it's a benefit, your uniqueness is a benefit to the people looking for those products, you're going to be able to build a market and build a brand around those products because yours are better or more unique or do something different or have targeted a different market than everybody else.
Yeah, it sounded like you had a strategy that was trying to distinguish you from some of the other stuff here, and we probably don't have enough time to dig into all that on this at this time, but I'd love to talk with you more at some point in the future on how you kind of navigate all that.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to do a round 2 and go a little more advanced. We've gone really advanced already, but yeah, it's basically, like I said, it's all about building a real business. The days of the Amazon gold rush where anyone could just grab any product from AliExpress and throw it up there and become rich, those days are gone, and a lot of those people who only thought of it that way are either falling by the wayside or having to refocus on building an actual business. So now, though, I think is the perfect time for someone who actually wants to build a legitimate business to get in, because Amazon is still growing. There's a lot of room for growth there yet, and it is still relatively new. And someone who comes in and takes it seriously and builds a business around it can make a lot of money right now on Amazon still.
That's really motivating to kind of to know that.
The biggest thing with all of this, we went through a lot of things, and my head might be going crazy. Is just to start where you're already at, or where you're at now, and learn more in depth of what you actually need to know. Like for you need to. The first thing is go make an account and familiarize yourself with Seller Central. Learn how that works. And then maybe send 5 of one of your products in and see if you can start selling on there. Get your first sales through FBA or through FBM if you choose to go that route. If you feel more comfortable starting out that way, you could definitely do that because you could probably undercut the people that are already in there and just get your first sale. See how it goes, familiarizing yourself with Amazon. So, and don't worry about all the launching or anything yet until you get your product in there and you see it there. Your listing is good. You can maybe start tweaking your listing and stuff, and then get ready for the launch. You can have more products a lot faster than myself, where I got to wait maybe 45 days to get it from China. So,
all right. Yeah, it sounds like a really good small actionable goal, and I'll let you know how it goes, because I think I think for sure by the end of March, we're gonna have some product on Amazon to start.
Cool. Yeah, let me know how it goes. Keep me posted, and maybe we can do a follow-up video in a few months or something to see where you're at and how things are going.
I'm sure I'm going to have a ton more questions then. Thanks for taking all of this time. I don't know how much of this is going to be usable, but I'm sure you're going to do a good job editing it.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I think people will enjoy it. We got just ticking over to an hour and 40 minutes, so a lot of good information, though. All right.
And by the way, I don't know how much you use the Facebook ecosystem with advertising and marketing. If you ever have any questions on that, I've been doing that for a little while, about a year and a half now, and it's really a new frontier. So there's a lot of changes and a lot of things to keep up with. So let me know if you have any pixel or custom audience or any of these kinds of questions there.
All right, sounds good. I will do. Appreciate it.